Welcome to the Lyme Regis Museum at Home activity video on lace making and embroidery. I'm Sarah Acton and I'm here in the balcony, which is up on the very top level of the museum. So we're just in a small alcove here. And I've come here to look at some of my favourite objects in the museum, which are the objects relating to lace making. Lace making was prevalent in the Lyme Regis and wider area from about the 1650s. But a bit later in the 18th century, there was this bobbin making, and Broad Street would have been full of women who were straining to get as much daylight as possible to weave these very intricate and beautiful laces which were worn by fine ladies. The social history around lace making is really interesting. The lace makers were working for hours and hours. You have to have so much patience with something like lace making. And they were paid in tokens, which they then had to use at specific shops. I'm just going to take a look at some of the bobbins that are here. I think that lace making and embroidery are both really good metaphors for learning and being patient with a craft, using your hands, and that very meditative process that has to happen when something isn't quick. It's a very slow process of making and beauty making by hand. So I'll just lift out one of the bobbins here. Apparently sailors would engrave some of the bobbins and bring them back for their sweethearts. You'd have up to 120 bobbins on a cushion. This is the cushion here that the ladies would have each had on their knees. And it says in one of the pieces of information here that in a day of work that a lace maker might only make 25 millimeters of intricate lace work. And they were using patterns. There's one here. So they were using and making their own patterns, and these patterns were quite secretly guarded. And then the patterns were punched out on the cushion with lots of pins, and then there was a very delicate weaving process. So for me, this activity is about thinking into the wider creative process of slowness, of patience, of time learning a craft, and using your hands in order to shape the world. We're also thinking in the activities about embroidery and clothing, and when you're at home looking around for your own inspiration for museum at home, you might look in your wardrobe, pick out a few items of very best or favourite clothing. We often keep things that are no longer even useful or were once, or perhaps belonged to someone else that reminded us of them, and use those items of clothing as a jumping off point. We'll often find with clothes that there is an emotional link that's very much framed around a smell, a very evocative smell of a person. There might be a scarf that belonged to somebody, or something that you have that's still got some perfume on it that reminds you of a particular point in time or a place that you were. And that's going to be your jumping off point this week. And I've also invited you in the activities to really think into these lace makers, these women sitting outside, straining their eyes in the natural daylight before electricity, and working for hours on very small bits of art and beauty and lace. So enjoy the activity, good luck, and we'll see you soon.